digging and vibing that new intro beat. Damn.
Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. Yeah, shout out to the production crew. We trying to get a little bit better. We've been using duct tape and prayers, and hopefully we can actually start doing some real professional stuff. We're trying to be more professional. But ladies and gentlemen, good evening. I am your boy Rich. I am here tonight with my esteemed partners, the lovely and the queen moderator Tameko, and I got the high priest of the Church of Bass.
It's the cult of Bass. Thank you very much.
The cult of Bass. That's the right name for it. It's literally a cult. Paul in the building with me tonight. First of all, I want to ask you, how y'all guys doing?
Cooler than a fan.
Cooler than a fan. How about you, Tameko? All is well. That's what I want to hear. Yes. So tonight we are here. We're here to do a show, and letting you guys know we're going to break this thing up tonight a little bit in segments. We're going to have 3 main segments, and first segment is going to be, book of the week. Next segment is going to be what we call low hanging fruit, and the third segment is called down the hole or down the rabbit hole, where we get a little deep. That's going to be our main topic that we'll chop it up. But I'm pretty sure we black folks, and we're gonna talk about a little bit of this and a little bit of that. So if we go off tangent like me and my man Paul did Friday night, don't be surprised. Also, let me just put a disclaimer: the opinions of Richard Wright, Tameko, and Paul, I'm gonna throw y'all in that basket with me, do not reflect the management staff of Black Comic Lords Inc. Direct all inquiries to your boy Rich. Hit me in the DM. I might answer you if you're nice, and if you're nasty, then well, hey, you can get these hands too. But anyway,
my opinions will be fine. I'm non-controversial.
Yeah, well,
Why are we doing disclaimers and stuff? Look, everyone watching this, especially those just now logging on, please like the video. Just hit the button. Dude, it's right there. Just click the like button, please. Helps us out. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Like the button, please, for the algorithm. So let's go ahead and get into this book of the week. So my choice for book of the week, I don't know if you guys have a book, but I'm going to share my book of the week, and that is Philadelphia number 19. Okay, by the esteemed Rodney Barnes and Jason Sean Alexander and Lewis. This guy has his last name is NCT. I don't get it, but okay, we're gonna just say Lewis N. But yes, so I'm not gonna get into this whole issue or whatever. I don't want to just do a deep dive, but to just give you a quick synopsis or whatever. We are in a new story arc. This is called End of All, and the first part of the story is called All Hope Springs Eternal, or Hope Springs Eternal. And in essence, what Rodney Barnes is doing for us in this particular issue, he's introducing us to a couple of new characters. Okay, and if you look at the cover, you can kind of obviously see what character that is actually being one of the new characters, whatever. And that is the father of our country, Mr. George Washington. Yes, Mr. George Washington, chopped down the cherry tree, never told a lie, George Washington. That dude. Yeah, the dude that's on the $1 bill, the dude that's been credited as the father of our country. He makes his first appearance in Philadelphia issue number 19. Now, I don't know if George Washington is in any other comic books.
The dude who took the teeth from his slaves to make his own.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. At least he didn't lie about it. So anyway,
wooden teeth indeed. Don't believe that.
So we have George. George Washington is in the building. So he actually doesn't show up till like very late in the issue. But basically, the war between the vampires is raging on. The werewolves have joined the fray. And in essence, without giving away the whole story, one of the key members in Philadelphia, Seesaw, finds himself being abducted by Abigail and that side, the bad guys. So Seesaw is somewhere being tortured, I'm sure. But we do get a picture of him. They kind of do him like Jesus. They throw some crown of thorns on his head. They kind of strap him to a cross or to an X. I don't know. But suffice to say, my man was probably tortured. But either way, the reason why the story is called Hope Springs Eternal is in that Rodney Barnes is actually playing on the thought of hope being the very currency or the very thing that people that don't have anything need, whether it's a soldier, because all a soldier has really is his weapon and his determination, whether that's people fighting against oppression. Hope is what we all need. And so he kind of plays into that as far as this story goes. It's a very violent issue. But it's not really a lot of words in this issue. But the way this issue opens is Rodney kind of gives us some ideas as to um, why we can be hopeful in the middle of hopelessness. Because the first thing he talks about in this issue is death, and he talks about how death is inevitable for all of us. We can fight against it. We can, we can delay it. We can try to delay it. We can try to, resist. But ultimately, we all meet death at some point. And so when you have that, how do you even quote unquote live life, or how do you even navigate through life, knowing that you're marching toward this particular door that is waiting on all of us? And so hope kind of gives us the reason how we're able to do that. So it's a pretty deep issue. And like I said, I don't want to get, I don't want to talk specifics because we'll be here an hour just talking about the book of the week. So what do you guys, did you guys read Philadelphia 19?
I did.
How'd you like it?
I mean, how'd you like it is not is like a foregone conclusion. Rodney Barnes hasn't written a bad issue of Philadelphia yet. It's just a matter of, how good was it? It was good. Mm-hmm. It was probably one of the more action-packed issues I've seen because it was just pure action from beginning to end. There wasn't a whole lot of development plot-wise other than the big reveal of George Washington. I'm curious to see what happens next with Seesaw without doing any spoilers, so to speak. I'm also curious to see, I'm excited to see the werewolves from Elysium Gardens finally make it into the main Philadelphia continuity. And I'm curious to see how that interaction unfolds. We still don't know enough about the background of the werewolves in the Elysium Guardians storyline. We don't know much of the background in terms of their relationship to vampires or other creatures of the night. And I really want to see what that background is. I mean, you can't help when you're talking about this genre to make comparisons to like Underworld, written by and created by Kevin Greavy. You see that there is a lot of history between the concept of vampires and werewolves. I'm wondering if Rodney Barnes is going to do a sort of similar thing, not necessarily with just werewolves and vampires per se, but the supernatural. Like they have, is there a history of relationships between these supernatural beings? And I'm curious to see more of that backstory. And then there's also this new character, this woman, which we've seen her in glimpses and panels, but we don't know anything about her yet. So hopefully that will pop up in issue 20. I think 20 is going to be a big one.
Right. It's she doesn't say anything, but she's right there, and she seems to be on the right team. It's interesting to see what's going to happen with John Adams. I'm kind of curious as to see how he's going. His interaction with George Washington is going to be. That's one of the things I'm looking forward to. It's Richard Wright, pro-black guy, is looking forward to conversation between two white people. I'm more familiar with that, whether it be Trump and Biden, or what I'm saying. Let me think of somebody else. Bush and who else? Who else can I think? Al Gore. We're used to seeing white people talk to each other, so what I'm saying. I'm curious to see what Rodney Barnes does with that. So yeah.
Have you seen
the
variant cover for the next issue?
Let's see. Is it in the back of the book? I think it is.
Yeah. Let me show it to you. This is it right here. This is the variant called done by the artist Azteca, something like that.
Oh no, that's hot.
That's dope, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's not the that's 21. That's 21, bro. That's not the next issue.
21. Sorry, 21.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a dope cover. I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to the now you talk about you brought up the future issue 20. Eric Larson is doing the cover, and I like that cover, and I probably will try to go get that cover. So I'm an Eric Larson guy, so yeah.
That's the Eric Larson cover. There's also the main cover, of course, by Jason Son Alexander.
Yep. And it's interesting too, so the little girl is, well, not that one, but the other one, that's 21 too, bro. You keep going ahead. That one.
Yeah. Look at this one.
Yeah. That's kind of eerie.
This is the one done by Azaceta.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about Son Alexander again.
I'm thinking about Rodney Barnes. The interview we did with Rodney Barnes, he talked about how his kids are in Philadelphia, and so I'm just curious. As we see the little girl there, I wonder which one of his kids that one is. But I think that's pretty cool to put your kids in your comic book. But yeah. But anyway, Tameko, did you read it?
No, I haven't. I have to jump on the Philadelphia bandwagon pretty soon.
Come on now, go get your lake pass. We'll wait for you. That's what's up. So, as far as rating Philadelphia, this issue 19 or whatever, I'm gonna rate this basically 0 to 5 Black Power Fists. So this one I'm gonna give it 4 Power Fists. Give you 4. We got to come up with we got to get the technology in place so I can throw 4 or 5 Power Fists in the air. But I'm gonna give that 4 out of 5. It's a good issue, but like I said, Paul, there's not a lot of dialogue in it. It's all action. So if you're an action person, you probably love this issue. But what I'm saying, I like Rodney Barnes' his thoughts that he shares when he deals with these difficult topics, whether you're talking about race or relationships or whatever. We did get a little bit of relationship talk with Jimmy and his girlfriend. They got a baby on the way, and poor Nita over in Nita Hawes, and she had to find out from Anansi, and I still kind of chuckle about that. And he's like, he know that he let the cat out the bag, and he's like, you guys should talk. And what's funny about that is, I love it the way he set that dialogue in that that's how people talk. You know what I'm saying? It's like when you didn't goof, like, yeah, you guys should talk. So I'm easily amused. So y'all got to forgive me. But that's the book of the week, Philadelphia, number 19. Did you guys have any books you guys want to highlight this week?
Well, I knew you would pick Philadelphia, so I had to pick something different. Let me pull it up here. One of the things we talked about, I think we talked about it when we did our live on Friday. is, you know, I'm also a fan of the old time. I mean, I'm not big into anime and manga and stuff like that, but I do like kaiju and big mechas. You know, just like the movie Pacific Rim was like the thing for me. I just absolutely love that. And there's a film, there's a comic that came out last month called We Ride Titans, um, which had issue 2 that came out this week. This is it right here. Uh, Story about obviously a future society. Um, there's this family. Well, in the society, they are attacked by kaiju on a constant basis, much like you saw in the movie Pacific Rim. And
Right.
there's this one particular family. I forget the name, but the father is black, and his father was one of what they call Titans, which is the mecha, and his father was one of the Titan pilots. And then the grandfather was a Titan pilot. The father was a Titan pilot. He's now paralyzed. He has 2 children. He has a son. He has a daughter. The older son was a Titan pilot. He had something that happened to him, which I guess got him shook. So the father, who has a very bad relationship with his kids, particularly his daughter, is forced to ask his daughter to take over the role of protecting their city from the kaiju, because it's their family's responsibility to use these titans to protect the city from invading kaiju. So you get the story. You know, here's the son, here's the daughter. Her name is Kit. She's kind of the protagonist of the story. That's her brother, who got shook on one of the missions. Um, and later you see her interact with her father, who they don't get along very well. But you also, you know, see him say, well, look, ultimately I've got to train you. And you see the relationship between the two of them, while he's training her to take over the role of being a protector of the city. So it's not often that you see these concepts, these sort of Japanese concepts of kaiju and mecha with black characters, and I appreciate that. And it's not bad read either. So We Ride Titans, just for being different, is my pick of the week.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, go. You got a book you read this week that you want to talk about?
Green Lantern. Oh, you're muted.
I think you're muted.
Oh my.
Oh, okay. Okay. Green Lantern. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, there
This
you go.
cover looks much better in person
Green
than it
Lantern.
did
Okay.
on the
Yeah, the Black History
in the
Month
picture.
cover on that is just absolute
Yeah.
fire.
Lovely. So of course, being the blackest Green Lantern series going at this point, John Stewart has his godhood powers, and he's gonna come and save his friends from the anti-guardian. So it's a whole lot of mess and confusion and all kinds of things. Hal Jordan and the Justice League even jumps in.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
John
Yeah,
Stewart
I did. It was kind of
saves
funny to see it. I did kind of chuckle when I saw Naomi in the book. So yeah,
It's a nice moment
yeah.
seeing Naomi and Sergeant Mullen interact. I mean, I wish they'd done more with that. Like, hey, black woman superhero. Hey, black woman superhero. How you doing? You from Earth? Yeah, I'm from Earth. Cool. I wish
It's
we had. I
interesting
wish
too,
we had a
man.
moment like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they were
I
busy
was at
trying
a
not to die.
right. I was at a comic book shop this weekend, and we actually talked about Green Lantern, the Green Lantern run. And this was a white guy who, you know, just to show you that a broke clock is right twice a day. This was a white guy who actually liked the Green Lantern book, who actually likes John Ridley. Who'd have thought? But we had a great conversation, man. We were just I sat there and talked for maybe an hour with this guy. you know, just about Green Lantern. We talked about a whole lot of other stuff, but Green Lantern was one of the books that we talked about, and he was definitely a fan of the book. And so, you know, shout out to John Ridley, man. That dude there, man, he's a beast. Not John Ridley, Jeffrey Thorne.
Jeffrey
But we
Thorne.
did talk about Ridley too. We talked about Ridley too, though. But we did talk about Jeffrey Thorne.
Hmm.
And we actually, the reason why I'm getting that mixed up or whatever is that, you know, we talked about Black Panther as well. He's enjoying the Black
Hmm.
Panther. So I'm saying this to all of you guys out here. There are some white people who do like our books. Okay, they may not tell you, they may not express it, they may not talk about it, but you know, there's one white guy in North Texas that is digging
Who has
some
some
of our
taste.
books. So you know, we're not alone in this struggle. They said,
You're not
I might
alone.
bring him a plate. I might bring him a plate from the cookout. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, thank God for
A
small business.
sandwich, not the whole plate, not the whole plate. Bring a sandwich.
That's at least
Okay,
that's at least worth a Ziploc bag of some stuff.
Hmm. Some potato
that's
salad.
what's up. So yes, so let y'all. That's book of the week. We're gonna transition and move over to this next segment called low hanging fruit. Low hanging fruit. For those of you that might want to know, what do I mean when I say low hanging fruit? And low
Yeah, I
hanging
don't know.
fruit is simply those type of topics that are, you know, easy to discuss, topics that, you know, it's kind of like you don't have to really split the atom to talk about it. You know, things like legacy characters, some of our favorite subjects, you know, all kind of things. But I had two topics that I want to talk about in this particular segment. And the first topic we're gonna talk about. I want us to react. I don't know, Tameko, if you got a chance to see it. I know me and Paul did. I want to react to Reggie Collect's video that he did on diversity in comics. I want to talk about that, and I also want to talk about Marvel's disrespect regarding Miles Morales. You know, I do feel like the three books that Miles Morales is going to be, three what if books, is low hanging fruit. And low hanging fruit, of course, again, is like easy stuff to talk about, money grabs, gimmicks that they do in comics, and let's just be honest, that's a gimmick. So before we get to Miles Morales and all that, them shenanigans, we're gonna talk about a fellow comic book content creator, Reggie Collects. He's a guy that's popular on YouTube. You know, he's one of the well liked comic book content creators on YouTube. He has a subscriber base of like 15,000, I want to say, maybe more. But he's one of the most popular ones of them. And he happens to be a brother who went to Howard University, but he has a mainstream appeal. And he definitely is, you know, he knows his content, he knows his stuff. And the thing is, he has been one historically that shied away from topics of race or diversity and things of that nature. So of late, he's beginning to tackle some of that. Um, and so he did a video about 2 weeks ago called Woken Comics. And he had brought a guy on who was kind of contesting what what is wokeness in comics. You know, is it any good? Is it good for comics? You know, the pros and cons of it or whatever. And this guy was kind of on the side of, he was against it. And he made very, very valid points. And so I had no issue really with him at all. And I really don't have any issues with diversity in comics that Reggie was doing. I applaud the brother for doing anybody that's willing to stick their neck out, so to speak, and speak on a topic that is not popular or whatever, or definitely will, you know, poke some people, you know, the quote unquote wrong way. I'm for that. So, but a reason why I wanted to react to it was because the thing about being black is this. You and I, Tameko, Paul, and myself, we can't hide who we are. There's no, unless we, get some bleaching cream from Africa and we use it for about 10, 15 years, you ain't getting away from this melanin. You cannot hide. I cannot hide who we are. People that are European, that have European features, that may be gay, can hide their gayness. Those that are very, very high yellow among us can hide. We've had history of passing in this country. Well, we can't hide who we are. So when you see us in the public square, right, there's no getting away from that. We are who we are, right? Now, think about comic books. See black faces in comic books? They're using a shade of brown that we look at that character, we know that's a black character, right? We have no doubts of it. In fact, it was so sensitive that at one time they were painting black people gray. Shout out to Marvel. They were painting them gray. People weren't comfortable with looking at melanin, okay, for whatever reason. And so Reggie has had
in large part because of the fact that the brown just pops on the page really well. Makes the other characters look
absolutely
not as cool.
Yeah.
Sorry.
We stick out like a sore thumb. I mean, we do. You know what I'm saying? And it's beautiful.
In the words of Malcolm X, our skin looks like gold in comparison.
Yeah, it does. So, but here's the thing, though. Reggie built his platform and his following without rocking the race boat or the race card or whatever. But
I like the way you phrased that.
He built his following, and because he built his following, there's a segment of us that follow Reggie. We hardcore collectors. We're hardcore black folks. Reggie has a lot of black people that watch him too. We're not, it's not like he has an all-white audience, but let's just be honest. He has a lot of, the mayonnaise is strong in Reggie Collects. So, but what I'm saying, I cut for the brother because he's given me advice on things. I hit him in the DMs. He's very approachable. I love that dude. And what I'm saying, some people will give him a hard time because he's some people feel like he may be late to the party, but at the same time, I feel like that's unfair. What I'm saying, he came into this space wanting to just talk about comics, and then all of a sudden, what I'm saying, you run across certain books, you run across certain topics or certain, authors or writers or whatever, and guess what? The race issue is going to come up. You know what I'm saying? And so he had been doing this. This is not something that's new. He started doing this when he was talking to Solid Two Kings. Solid Two Kings is another content creator on YouTube, and he talks about black characters a lot. And he has even shouted us out on Reggie Collect's show. And so Reggie's been, dialoguing with different people in the space or whatever. And so, some of us might feel some type of way that he could say more, he could do more. You know what? I'm not going to pocket watch someone else. You know what I'm saying? I want my man to do his thing. I want him to be successful. And I just commend that we're having a conversation. Problem, though, is that when you only a hit dog will holler. And so even people that followed Reggie Collects got a problem with diversity. So, what's the problem with being a black man talking about black books, black content, and wanting to see your face in books, y'all? What do you guys think about that?
Well, I can tell you based on what Reggie's statement about the amount of rather hateful comments he got from his first video on diversity. The one he said, what was the title of it? Is wokeness killing comics?
Mhm.
Um, Understand, as you said, Reggie is not a um, polarizing person.
No.
As a YouTube uh, um, entity, a YouTube, character, um, he's not polarizing at all. He does not take any particular stance when it comes, or at least historically, he's not really taking much of a stance when it comes to black comics or black characters. He talks about comics in general. Um, and there's nothing wrong with that because he gives everyone a fair shot. I think someone had spoken to, I don't know if it was you, Rich, or someone had spoken to him about certain key black comics. And probably about a year ago, you started to see, because he always has a wall behind him of comics, much like how you have, Rich. And you start to see certain black keys pop up on his wall, and that had never happened before. I'd never seen him have any black books behind him, but someone had a conversation with him, and he started to put that. And I think this is kind of a progression for him, where he has enough viewership and clout to talk about these topics. I can't see someone who graduates from HU being completely um, unaware of these topics existing. Um, so I give him mad props, and he was very specific. He said, "I came up with the topic for this video is wokeness killing comics, not because that's what I feel per se, but I knew that there is a large segment of comic readers that feel that way, and I used that as a way to bring it into this conversation," which I thought was brilliant. And he was very thoughtful in their approach on hearing both sides of the issue, whether it be legacy characters or what have you. But I enjoyed the video. I applaud him for talking about something that I know a lot of people didn't want him to talk to. A lot of his viewership probably felt uncomfortable talking about, but the anonymity of internet and YouTube videos allows him to reach a lot more people, because people will feel a lot more apt to watch and listen and maybe comment in a way more freely than they would in person.
Yeah. And the video that he did with the diversity in comics, he had a professor on there who spoke very, well about the subject of diversity in comics. And
That
so again,
particular
I applaud.
professor, that particular professor is Julian Chambliss. I've actually met him. He used to be a professor at the school that I went to, Rollins College. I met him, must have been about 10 years ago or so, when he was teaching a course on multiculturalism, diversity in comics, culture, pop culture, etc. And I reached out to him when I saw that he was teaching a class on comic books, and said, I had met Dennis Callum when I was going to college there, and I actually filmed a video at the college, which should have been in the archives, but apparently they'd not kept a copy. And I had a copy, and I said, I have it on VHS. Can you guys convert it? And he used it for his class. He's now a professor at Michigan State University, which apparently has the largest collection of comic books of any university in the country. And he is the professor in charge of discussing comics and as one of the courses they have.
That's what's up. H&H just said, I don't know if we could put that comment back up, but he made a statement, says, yeah, Richard, you're right. Many white comic readers / collectors don't want to think about or even see race. When it comes to comics, having race in comics ruins their escape, and escape we can't have. And I think that's one of the things that I said earlier, about like, look, we can't hide. We deal with, race and all of these, dynamics on a daily basis, and so it's one of those things where we know we have to have the conversation, but it's a polarizing conversation because some people make it very polarizing. I think that it's just simple. It's really simple but some of these guys make it very, very difficult. I know a couple of YouTubers online, some black, some white, who don't care nothing about diversity at all and trash at every corner, trash everything down the pipe. Now, it's one thing to say that you don't like it because, you know, race swapping or whatever. It's another, though, to not take the art itself at its merit. Like, you know, we have this conversation in this space all the time with people, and we ask, and the argument stops when we ask this question. Or I'll take it back, two questions. One, did you read the book? And two, what's on your pull list? The conversation generally, it's like casting out a demon. It's like, you know what I'm saying? It's like we don't need holy water. We don't need the Bible. We don't need to pray a certain way. We just ask them two questions. Have you read the book? And what's on your pull list? That stops a whole lot of this, all these shenanigans. And so it's just amazing to me, you know, in that I was talking with a gentleman yesterday, and we were talking, like I say, we talked about a lot of things. We were talking about, you know, Batman came up, the I Am Batman. And the guy was like, well, I don't understand this, the I Am Batman. I said, well, you know, I say, look what they did. They took the guy out of Gotham. They are trying to make this guy his own character. And you have to applaud DC for doing that, because it's like, okay, if this is not your jam, don't read it. Gordon says we cannot hide. The issue of race has been a part of the comic industry since the beginning, from misrepresentation to no representation. It has run the gamut. Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, but it is what it is, y'all. You know. Tameko, do you have any thoughts about diversity in comics and how it's viewed by you know, comic book fans and whatnot?
Well, anti-blackness has always been a thing. It's been a thing for as long as we've been alive. So
right.
It's funny to me when people look at it and they see a black person and go, oh my God, there's a black person there. We can't have that. That ruins the fantasy. And it boggles my mind because I'm thinking black people have been around.
What fantasy does it ruin, Tameko?
Yeah. And it's like,
is the fantasy of a world where we don't exist?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the real fantasy that nobody has been brave enough to say out loud. That is the thing.
Yeah.
Because
except real talk with Richard, we have no problem saying that.
Because I get it in my comic fandom, I get it in my Star Trek fandom, because the amount of people who scream about a black woman captain, and I'm sitting there thinking,
yeah, the hate on Discovery is phenomenal. I've never seen so much.
Problem. Exactly, and it's a good show. It's gotten much better than when it started, but then all Star Trek shows, that first season is always dodgy, always. And that goes across all of them. But it just boggles my mind. And then I just look at them. And just like Richard mentioned, that guy in the group, we asked them, do you read comics? To have such a large opinion about what should be in them. Do you even read them? Nah, I don't even read comics. I'm like, what? Why are you talking? So yeah, but anti-blackness has always been a thing.
Yeah, we get a lot of that. Shout out to my man. Yeah. Shout out to Willie. Willie says she's talking about when people lost their minds when they saw John Boyega on screen. You know, with Star Wars, that was a big thing for Star Wars, you know, fandom as well. But you know, to your point, you know, Willie, she's talking about, you know, Discovery, and that particular, you know, shout out to the what is her name?
Sonequa Martin Green.
Do you know what? Yes, I know her. See, here's the thing about you know, I know her from The Walking Dead. You know, before she became the captain on Discovery, she was in The Walking Dead. and she was one of my favorite characters on there. And of course, she was on Orange is the New Black. She was one of my favorite characters on there as well. And so, but to see her in
she was
this,
also on that Disney show, the one about the fairy tales coming to life. The fairy tale world came back to life in our real world. What was that series? It was on ABC.
yeah, you talking about Once Upon a Time?
Once Upon a Time, yes, she was a villain on Once Upon a Time as well. That's the first place I saw her before she was in Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Now, see, I didn't.
And here's the thing.
I didn't see her in any of those things. I was introduced to her and knew she came into Star Trek, and I thought that she's the greatest thing since sliced bread.
No. Let me explain. So here's the thing, because you guys brought up Star Trek, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to go off on a tangent because I know we're Black Comic Lords, but I'll just as a lawyer, I'll technically point out that there's a comic on Star Trek Discovery, so it's somewhat affiliated.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big Star Trek guy. My dad is a big Star Trek guy. He's the one that got me. We used to watch Star Trek when I was a kid. Got me very much into it. Discovery, of more so than any other Star Trek show, has tapped into much of the Star Trek history and canon as possible. They've brought in so many prior episodes, so many prior concepts on that show that they would normally get a lot of accolades. But because there is a Black female lead, because they've had the largest representation in the LGBT community, the show is heavily derided for nonsensical reasons. People will say, "Oh, this show is terrible. It's not Star Trek. It's not my Star." And the reasons it's not enough action. They got massive space battles. Oh, it veers from canon. They brought in, they tapped back into the original Star Trek pilot, The Menagerie. And went to Talos 4.
Yeah.
I mean, for you to understand what I'm talking about, you'd have to be a hardcore Star Trek person to know what I'm talking about. But the fact that they did that is huge. So, racism is a real strong thing. To come up with
here's the thing about that. Here's the thing about that, Paul. See, Discovery actually precedes, the original Star Trek. It's like, I want to say, is it 10 years ahead of the Enterprise and what they're doing in that show? So what you've done, So, but here's the thing. Here's the problem. What you've done is that you have taken white people's fanboy, super fanboy, Captain Kirk, and have put a Black woman. You have put a Black woman in front of him. That can't stand, Paul. that was a trigger. So I mean, in a series like Star Trek, should we even be surprised?
Even when they brought in Captain Pike,
and
a white male heterosexual Captain Pike as the captain, they were still having problems with it because she was still the lead on the show. It's just pure. Don't get me started.
I mean, it is what
I didn't mean to go on a tangent, everybody, but I feel very strongly about this. It bothers me.
Well, look. Getting back to our topic about diversity in comics and Reggie Collect's, video. I want to just close that out by saying, shout out to Reggie Collects. I think he did a wonderful job. And what we should do is encourage him all the more to continue to share content, because it's not easy. Because he's got to take some of those. You got to take some of that heat. See, with us Black Comic Lords, we live in the heat. You know what I'm saying? We live in the fire. So white people get mad at us. That's part of the course.
We like it hot.
We like it hot. I'm like, come on. The water's very hot. We like gumbo. We like gumbo. We like neck bones. We like it hot. That's what's up. But anyway, let's shift gears to our next topic in low hanging fruit, which is Marvel's disrespect disrespect of Miles Morales.
Oh Lord.
Now I'm gonna say this because guess what? I'm not a Miles guy. I don't have a dog in this fight. But what I will not stand for is Marvel disrespecting the God. Okay? You're not going to continue to do this to a character that lots of young black kids look up to. Okay, this is what you do. You tell us, okay, well what if Miles Morales became Captain America? We're gonna give him the super soldier serum, and he's gonna be Captain America. There was a disturbance in the force then. I addressed it on my blog, but I was a little strong, so I didn't really. It didn't make blackcomic.net because again, I was a little strong, but you double down and say, hey, what if Miles Morales was Wolverine? Okay. I don't get it, but okay. Then you say, I got one better. What if Miles Morales was the Hulk? Okay. So let's deal with the first one. Captain America. The whitest superhero in Western comics. He wears the red, white, and blue. He's got the shield. You know, his nose is flared up. I don't know who he's getting ready to go tackle, but he's going after somebody. Okay. We got Sam Wilson already. And I'm not we checking boxes, but clearly somebody's got something they're trying to do. Let's move on to Wolverine. Okay. Everybody loves Wolverine. He's one of our favorite X-Men. Why are we doing that? You know, we got a crazy Canadian immortal already.
And a whole family of his children.
Yeah. We don't even want to go there, Tameko. But then you say, what if Miles Morales was the Hulk? And see, I was done with them at Captain America. But when I heard that they were going to make him the Hulk, I'm like, okay, guys, y'all just out of line. You're going to take 3 white iconic characters and basically blackface them.
That's exactly what this is.
And H&H Comics, you're right. It's all about money. All this is a money grab.
And did they even announce who the last 2 issues are? Because I didn't even think this needed to be anything more than a one-shot. But it looks like here it says 1 of 5, 3 of 5. So what are they doing?
Rico says it's about monetization. Marvel does not own TV, movie, gaming rights to Miles. So the only opportunity to cash in on Miles is comics. Miles is larger than life. Even his cards are breaking records. That's a good point.
And guess what, Rico? And I agree with that, but I feel like it's disrespectful because you know, you're trying to make this character, you're trying to give this character his own identity. He already has enough quote unquote struggle. So we recognize and see it for what it is. It's a money grab. And but here's my question though, Paul. Let me say this. Let me ask this question. Should we buy these books?
Hell no.
We know that it's a money grab. Should we buy them?
No. And here's the reason why. I pre-ordered the first one. The reason I pre-ordered the first one is because I figured it was just a one shot, right?
Yep.
And what intrigued me wasn't just the fact of Miles in the Captain America suit. It's like, whatever. But the fact that they also had what appears to be, I assume, his girlfriend Starling as the Falcon. You see her in the back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the idea of having two black superheroes who are a couple in a comic, I was like, well, that doesn't happen that often in Marvel. So I'm gonna pre-order this. Subsequent to me pre-ordering it, found out about this Hulk, found out about this Wolverine. So what they're in essence doing is putting a black face on already popular white characters. And I talked about this on Friday in our live. You know, there was this, you know, shout out to Kay and Amir and Paperbacks and Soundtracks. Last week they did a show, they talked about what if stories, or I'm sorry, not what if stories, Marvel team-ups, and how Marvel team-ups were done where Spider-Man, who is Marvel's most popular superhero, would be teamed up with a lesser popular character in the hopes of sort of boosting the sales and boosting the notoriety of that lesser popular character and help them make more money, right? That's the idea. It makes sense. You're going to take your most popular property and use it to boost your less popular property. Now, here's the thing. Here's the reason why that formula from back in the Silver and Bronze Age is not applied here, because they're not having Miles Morales as, you know, becoming C-list characters. The Hulk doesn't need help with his sales. Wolverine doesn't need help with his sales. Captain America doesn't need help with his sales. They're all A-list characters.
Yes.
Who oftentimes have multiple books going on at the same time. You'll have Hulk, you'll have Immortal Hulk, you'll have Wolverine, you'll have X-Force with Wolverine, you have Wolverine and X-Men. You've got Captain America, you've got Captain America Sam Wilson, you got Captain America on the Avengers. These characters don't need help. And they had an opportunity, Marvel did, in using their top tier selling character, Miles Morales, and you could have boosted other black heroes who are not doing so well. What if Miles Morales gained the mystical powers of Dr. Voodoo and became a super mystical spider hero who taps into the totem god of the spider, and Morlun, the totem eater, teams up with Baron Mordo to go after his power? That's just off the top of my head. And that's a far better story than whatever these guys are coming up with. Right? What if Miles Morales got bitten by a spider, got bitten by a vampire and got the powers of Blade and became a night stalker, a day walker, and became a vampire hunter?
Yeah.
You know, there's tons of things you could have done with other black characters or lesser known characters, and use your top tier character to help promote. So this right here has nothing to do with promoting other Marvel characters, which from a business sense would make more sense. This is a quick, short-sighted money grab to use your top tier guy, link him up with other top tier guys, and make more money. Which is quick money is not the best money, because long money is the long money. But Marvel gonna Marvel.
So we understand that this is a money grab, and this is why I call this low hanging fruit. In that, you know, I'm like, man, it's very, in my opinion, disrespectful. Gordon says, no, do not buy them, do not encourage this uninspired storytelling. It is what it is, guys, and which since then. Now you brought something up, Paul. I want to segue to another low hanging fruit topic, a topic that Tameko kind of talked about behind the scenes, and that is covers. Picking up a cover, seeing a beautiful black woman on the cover, she's doing something, and then you opening up the book, and said action on the cover does not match what's going on in the book. And we know that covers some of us as comic collectors, we like our covers. We love our covers.
Yep.
We have we have we have given a lot of people rope. We have given terrible writers a lot of rope because we look at the cover and say, you know what, this story is trash, but this cover is fire. And we know that in independent spaces, this happens a lot.
Yeah.
This happens a lot. Too much for comfort. Little small independent brands that will put a particularly black women on the cover as a fetish deal. You open up the book and there's nothing, nothing about the sister that's on the cover or any action. Here's I brought up Nubia. I think it was issue number 5. Is she fighting like a lion or she's fighting some kind of beast on the cover? But that's not even in the book. I'm just saying. I know y'all love DC, but your boy gonna keep it real with you. Shout out to Vita.
Amani says, I feel some of these books are opportunities to introduce new talent.
I get it. I'm not mad at it. But here's the deal. I, as a collector, have a right to get, like, if I go to McDonald's and I say I want a combo, a Big Mac combo, that means not only 2 off-beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles on the onions. And can you tell I'm a Big Mac fan? If I want a combo and I say I want the combo, I expect to get fries and I expect to get a drink. Okay? I don't want to get the combo, go through the drive-thru, because that's what we do. Drive all the way home. And all I got is a burger, 2 patties, and some ketchup. What am I going to do? I'm going back to McDonald's to get my order right. So the bait and switch thing, I get it, you know what I'm saying? But if you're going to introduce new talent, that's fine. Introduce the new talent. But don't give us something that is not relatable to what you're putting on the cover. That's false advertisement. If I see my favorite superhero giving somebody the business with his hands, and all he is doing is crying in the comic book, I'm going to be a little mad. Now, I'm petty. Now, like I said, this just rich. Am I wrong, guys? I mean, let me know. Maybe this is an intervention time. Maybe y'all can intervene.
Look, you gave the example of the Nubia book. I think I know which one you're talking about. That is, I don't know if that applies to that particular book, because I think there was a scene in there.
I don't remember seeing them. No, I ain't seen her fighting no lion. She was in there macking. She was doing a lot of macking in there.
You're killing me, man.
But there's a caveat.
Is this the one you're talking about?
Oh, okay.
This the Nubia, the Amazons with the lion with the wings. But in the museum, she does fight him. See right here. She fights the.
Oh yeah,
let me see.
There.
Right there.
Flashback to her previous days before she became queen.
Okay. Now that don't look like that. That don't look like the dude on the cover though. It looks like something like the dude.
It's the same thing.
What? His horns is a whole lot smaller. His mane is a whole lot different.
I will say that. Look, on the cover, they're outside, but inside the book, the battle takes place indoors. I mean, that's just artistic license. But she did fight the little lion. It was 2 pages. And that's the
Wow.
entire that's his entire appearance in 2 pages.
I still feel cheated.
Well, the caveat to that is okay. The cover is great. I
Yeah,
would
it's a
rather,
great
if you're
cover.
going to entice us with the cover, if you're going to entice us with the cover, please let that
Oh
cover
Lord,
artist do the art
yo,
inside the book.
H and H both agree that you are indeed petty,
Yeah,
as
I
does
know.
Rico.
Yeah, I am. I am. What can I say? I am who I am. Pray for me. I solicit your prayers. No, I can be petty when it
But,
comes.
but,
But
did
here's
y'all
the
hear
thing,
my
guys.
point? Did you hear my point? I
I
said the
heard your point.
caveat
Go ahead,
to
make it.
that is if you're going to bring in a good artist, if you're going to bring us to buy the comic with the decent cover artist, let that
Mhm,
artist do the art in the book. Because there's nothing that vexes me more is when the cover is bomb. I open it up
mhm.
and then the art inside offends my eyes. It bothers my vision. Pay these people, let
Okay.
them do the whole book.
Now I got you. I got you. Now Rico says I don't think it's about putting a black face, but putting Miles' face on these characters, placing Miles in these what if scenarios with white heroes, show how transcendent Miles has become. I don't know if I agree with that, Rico. And you know, you Professor Time, and you are one of our. We're gonna talk about you a little bit later, but I think that your point is made in that regard. I just don't know if we as a collective see it that way
Mm-hmm.
because it's like we fight so hard for we're wanting to see these other characters like Dr. Voodoo and Blue Marvel and Blade and others get more exposure.
Yeah,
And it's like you take three iconic white characters and you put them in this story. And I'm not mad at what if stories. But you know, can I get a what if Blade story? Can I get a what if Dr. Voodoo story? Can I get a what if Luke Cage story? Can I get a can we get something on that regard? And I'm not hating on Miles because like I said, I don't have uh, a dog in this fight because I'm not a Miles guy.
Mm-hmm.
However, I do know how important Miles is to the culture, but at the same time, it's like you know what? They're not doing me any favors, and they're not going to draw me in with that as a collector. Now, for the young cat that's coming in the comments, he might be enthused. Imani says transcendent implies invisible. Well, that's another story. And you know that point, Amani, that point, and you know, but I see both sides, but at the same time, I still feel like it's you know Marvel could do much better, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? With Miles at the end of the day. So, guys, with that, we're going to shift gears again, and we're going to move to our main topic: going down the rabbit hole. Now, going down the rabbit hole is a segment where I want to just go deep with something. And in regards to what I want to talk about tonight is I want to talk about different collectors. Okay. I think there are like three types of collectors. This is just Richard Wright's opinion. You know, this is not gospel. This is just how I see things. You know, there's the new collectors. And these are the people that have been in comics from whether it's one day to maybe 5 years, new collector. Then you have your seasoned collectors. That's people that's been doing 5 years to maybe even 20, 30 years. And then you also have your savant characters. Let me see this. What H&H says, Marvel could do better, but it would not make them more money. And I get it. It is what it is. Money's king. I'm not mad at it. You know, Marvel is owned by Disney, and there's nobody has a bigger pimp hand than Mickey Mouse. So I'm gonna still buy Marvel. I'm gonna still buy Marvel comics, I'm gonna still watch Disney Plus. So even if I want to smack, Mickey Mouse or whatever, he's smacking me right back and asking me, "Where's my money?" Because guess what? He owns Star Wars. He owns Marvel. He owns Pixar. He owns Nat Geo. I'm gonna give him his cash because I'm a fan. Okay, it is what it is. But anyway, back to the collectors. Seasoned collectors are those who are in the hobby. They've been collecting for a while, and they know a little bit, but they don't know everything. They know how to get around a comic shop. I'll say it like that. And then you have your savant collectors. Your savant collectors are guys who are learned, like Rico. Professor Time I think he's a savant collector. Stephen Bowers is a savant collector. These are guys that know a lot. They're very humble in their knowledge or whatever, but they collect on another level. Okay, you know what I'm saying? Rico can show up and I have to leave the room. It's like he come in the room with a big old giant, medallion like this here, and I have to tuck my little necklace that my auntie gave me.
Let me tell you something, man.
You know what I'm
saying? I've been collecting comic books for over 40 years. Over 40 years. I've got probably, I don't know. I lost count. I mean, I know I have at least 13, maybe 17,000 comics. I got a lot of comic books. Wow. But that's quantity. Savant collectors, those dudes have quality. Quality.
Yes. Yes.
And their knowledge.
And I wanted to, just pause it right. Yeah, just pause it right there. Could you bring up Rico's comment just now? He was responding to Amani. I want to kind of give him he says, no, it does not imply invisible. It actually implies the opposite. Miles is the lead in these scenarios and overshadows the legacy characters with his mainstream influence. Yeah. Makes sense. No doubt. No doubt. I just don't know if we're going to the shop, Rico, and buying these books. I think, for the Miles fans, they'll buy it. But for those of us that are not Miles guys or whatever, I don't know if we have an incentive to go get it.
I am a Miles guy, and I have no desire to buy those books. I actually regret that I pre-ordered the first book. Because I just don't want my money to be going towards that.
Right.
But, and I'm not a Spider person at all, so I'm not the target demographic.
Yep. So, but talking about these collectors, okay. On another axis, there's speculators and readers and all points in between. No doubt. Here's the thing about new collectors. New collectors that come into the space or whatever, right? They're trying to figure out what's going on. They don't know where to start. They may have started with the cartoon on TV, or they may have just picked up a book random or saw a movie or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Trying to figure it out. What should they do? Shout out to Amir because he kind of gave me the inspiration to want to talk about this. Because it's like, okay, if I wanted to read X-Men, where do I start? It's not simple to go and find X-Men number 1.
Oh, you start with you start with giant size X-Men.
X-Men.
Well,
you could do that. Start with giant size X-Men.
But you're not going to it ain't as easy to just I'm gonna go buy giant size X-Men. Okay.
Oh, no. You buy the trade or you read it digitally or whatever.
Well, that's what I'm gonna get to in a second. So, but even with situations like that, though, but if you're trying to learn about the history of X-Men, you don't necessarily go to giant size X-Men. You go to X-Men number 1, the original X-Men. Or if you want to read about the original X-Men team, you go to X-Factor because that's really the original X-Men team. There's a lot of different ways you can go about doing this. Dark Matter says talking about Black Sands, they're making big moves with comic investments. We're going to get to that in a second, but we're talking about collectors. That's and while Black Sands is a part of the collecting space, they're not the I would say go-to, because guess what? I can go out and collect books, but there's very little Black Sands going to make it to a long box, that kind of thing. So it is what it is. But back to what I was saying about collecting. So my advice for new collectors is to, number one, ask questions. Do not be afraid to ask questions. Now, sometimes, depending on who you ask, you might get an asshole, because some people, I'm just keeping it real. You go into some of these shops and you ask them a question and they look at you like you idiot, you dummy. You know what I'm saying? And I see some of it in our space, in some of the commentary. But how are you going to know if you don't ask questions? You got to ask questions. Don't be afraid. I learned a long time ago, the only dumb question is one you won't ask. You know what I'm saying? And you're going to get some static. And guess what? If you go to a shop and a guy treats you like a pariah or like a jackbutt or whatever, don't go back to that shop. Go find you another shop. Go find you a shop where the people are friendly, the people are engaging, the people are want to help. That's one of the biggest things as a collector. That's a problem. We got a lot of people that know a lot of stuff, but they won't help their fellow collectors. So ask those questions. Also, buy trades. It's okay if you're a floppy guy, but guess what? I'm not going to go out and chase a $200 book when I know I can get a trade for $20. Now, if it's an iconic book and I gotta have it, that's one thing. But if you're just trying to read the story or whatever, trade, keep it pushing.
And here's the other part of the equation too. Here's the other part of the equation too is the digital, because, for example, you can try to, if you want to collect Blue Marvel, try to get the floppies. If you try to get all 5 issues, you're looking at least $1,500 to buy those. At least. If you try to buy the trades aren't available. Trades aren't available for those. Good luck finding that. And if you find it, it's going to be an astronomical price for a lot of people's budgets. So digital might be the way you want to do it. Go on Comixology and you can buy, the whole set. There's no excuse to not read the comics is the bottom line. Between trades,
but if you're going to be, because what and I get it, that digital is a part of our hobby, no doubt. But if you're going to be a quote unquote collector, you want physical copies of these books or whatever. Right. You know what I'm saying? You have to be smart with your money and that kind of thing. I'm gonna get to that when we talk about season characters. But my last suggestion is don't chase the hot book. Don't chase the hot book. Because guess what? Comic book collecting is like riding a bus. There's one every 15 minutes. You might not be able to get the book that you want right now at this particular price. But if you wait, there's a possibility that you can get that book for cheaper, or it's the possibility that you can get a better grade. You know what I'm saying?
As Fat Joe says,
run after what everybody gets.
As Fat Joe says, today's price, yesterday's price is not today's price.
No, it's not. It's not. I mean, but that's the. I give you an example. I had been chasing Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. #2, with the first original Black villain for a long time. For a long time, that book was at least $60, $70. Okay? I never just pulled the trigger and got that book. I got that book just recently for $20. Okay? Now, imagine you buying a book. Those of you who are collectors in here know this. You bought a book and you paid a nice price for it. Oh, so you thought it was a nice price, only to find that same book 20, 30, 50% cheaper than
Get a
before.
dollar or
My
something.
man Paul locked out. So H&H Condon says there's a lot of condescension to folks whose path to comic book interest is the movie. You know, and that's why I say it's one of those things where we have to be as a collective embracing of people, because a lot of people just don't know, and you can't hate on somebody if they just don't know, and they don't necessarily may not know what answers or questions to ask. Talking about seasoned collectors, you know, people that have kind of figured some stuff out, have bought a few books, you know what I'm saying? My advice to them is ask questions. Still ask questions. None of us have really made it, but we still need to ask questions. You know, do your research. That's the big thing. Don't just buy the first book you see. See if there's another way or another site. You may be hunting a book on eBay. Try an alternative site and compare those prices. You know, just don't grab it. Just don't feel like, you know, I know a lot of people experience FOMO, fear of missing out, but at the same time, you have to be smart, because there's nothing that sucks more than buying a book and then going to another site and seeing that same book for $30, $40, $50 cheaper. Or here's a big one. See that book for the same price but free shipping. I don't like paying for shipping, but you know, nothing sucks more than seeing a book at the same price, but somebody's willing to ship it to you for free. But that's Now, for those who are savant collectors, what you might say, what advice do I have a savant collector? My advice to a savant collector is simply this: give advice at every opportune time. You've done that, you've been there, you've done that, you've fought in the wars, you've been on those eBay sites, you've been in auctions, you know what trouble people go through. Give those collectors, beginners, you know, other savant collectors, be willing and be free with your advice. Be willing and free to share, you know, your experiences. If you caught a brick, if you caught an L, tell somebody, because it's like, hey, I don't want you to catch this brick. I don't want you to, you know, do what I had to go through. I want you to really, really think about it before you buy it, before you pull the trigger. I want you to think about this, because this happened to me. You know what I'm saying? Our experiences
Mike,
are part of our teaching.
Camera.
We hear you. We hear you. Can't see you, but we hear you, Paul. Behind the scenes, we have to be careful to not gatekeep this hobby and art. Excluding others from the shrinking fan base is not a good thing. Absolutely. That's one of our biggest problems. My other advice to savant collectors is you ask questions too. If you're mentoring someone in the hobby or bringing someone along, challenge that person. Get that person to think about what they're doing, because you want to save them time, you want to save them money, you want to save them the heartache of doing what you've mastered. You know, there's a lot of people that have a lot of knowledge on how to do certain things, and there's nothing worse than to see somebody just hug that for themselves. Big Phil says, been buying for decades and I still learn something new every day. My only advice is buy what you like, what you really like first. Absolutely, Big Phil. That's what's up. I agree 100%. Buy what you like. Absolutely. First and foremost, please buy what you like. Please do not buy, like I said earlier, don't buy the hot book, because guess what? Dr. Fate might be the hot book of the week. But if you're not a Dr. Fate guy, let somebody that loves Dr. Fate have that.
You're just wasting money otherwise.
I'm back. What did I miss? What did I miss?
Ooh, you're echoing.
You got echo. But I was just talking, Paul, about just giving guys that are in the hobby, just giving them advice, helping them to just like see things better. And for my savant collectors, I would just simply ask them to help your fellow collectors. You don't have to give away, because there are people that you listen. We all have fishing holes, and they're secrets. Keep your fishing hole to yourself. However,
Tameko,
there are
I've had
things
that
that you can
conversation with
share.
Tameko all the time. She puts our little fishing hole out on the scene. Look,
That's just
It's okay to keep, if you have a honey hole somewhere, it's okay to keep that to yourself because you want to be the only one to get the honey. I ain't mad at it. But
I
what you
give
can
Tameko a
do,
fishing hole. She puts it on. She does a whole live on it.
and say the secret is no longer a secret. Is Richard Wright, now that Paul is dropped, where you talked about Herschel's, oh my God. Well, Paul
No,
is
I'm
back. We
back,
can't talk
Derek.
about it. Still.
I'm back, dude. Don't try to play me, son.
ignore that comment, Derek,
Oh,
for a reason.
too funny. Too funny.
This
I
guy.
saw
Too
it.
funny. Oh my gosh. But anyway, if I will give you this example. I'm gonna give you a basketball example. Kobe Bryant spent a lot of time with Michael Jordan. And Michael Jordan taught Kobe Bryant a lot of stuff about the game.
Yeah.
But he made a point not tell him everything. But he made a point to tell him enough things to where he could figure out what it was that he was trying to instruct him. I remember one time he had an interview, and Jordan asked him. This was the first time that they faced each other in the All-Star game, and Kobe had a question about defense, and Jordan was like, "You have to feel the defense with your legs." Now, for those of us that are not ball players or whatever, we don't know what that means, but I'm pretty sure Kobe knows what that means. And the point is that while because Jordan was still, he was the man, but he wasn't trying to make Kobe the man. But he gave him enough incentive and enough motivation to strive. And so when we do have guys in our space that are collectors that, have amazing collections, the point is you don't necessarily want to have a collection like the next guy. But if that guy collects a certain book or a certain way, he knows something about how to go about making it happen. You know what I'm saying? It's not about just being priced out of a book. There's a way that you have to do it. If you have to sell books, flip books to make it happen or whatever it takes, you know what I'm saying? It's about, learning. You know what I'm saying? That's the thing that I want us to do. Continue to learn from one another. Continue to help one another. Because guess what? Like to Rico's point, he talks about these being alternative investments. And so some of our collections are amazing. Some of us have collections worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. In this space, some people will tell you that our space is very small. This is $1 million space, y'all. You literally got millions of dollars of comic books in this space. and we also know that everybody that has fire books or has top tier books don't post, don't share. There's a lot of people in this space who have amazing collections, and they don't really post it all.
I want to talk about a point that Phil just brought up here. He said, been buying for decades. I still learn something new every day. My only advice is buy what you really like first. As I said before, I've been reading comics for a long time, since I was like 4 or 5 years old. And so, I've amassed this very large collection. But most of the stuff that I've amassed is stuff that I just amassed because I want to read it, because I liked it.
Right.
And I always chuckle. I've never, up until recently, bought anything per se for spec, so to speak. I mostly bought stuff that I just enjoyed. And it's interesting years now because we got the MCU, and the MCU has this big effect on comics now, and people are scrambling like, "Oh man, did you get this issue number 7 of New Avengers?" I mean, I luckily got it for $50 on eBay because there's speculation that this is going to show up in a movie or something, and it's like, well, I bought it when it first came out. I paid $2.50 for it when it came out, because not because I thought it was a cool concept or spec, but because it's actually a really good Avengers run,
Right.
And ultimately, when you think about it from that perspective, the stuff that's going to become movies, the stuff that's going to be included in movies and increase the value of your comic collection, are usually the most fire storylines. So just stick to that. Stick to the stuff that you like to read. If it's a trash storyline, it's probably not going to get made into a movie.
Well, that's the thing. You brought something up.
Let me give you an example. Guardians of the Galaxy. Obscure D-list characters, right? The original Guardians of the Galaxy were obscure D-list characters. However, when Danny Abnett and Andy Lanning did their run, their take on the Guardians of the Galaxy, they completely redid the roster and did a very good, well-written storyline. So even though they were still obscure by comic standards, obscure characters, it is a highly well-regarded, well-read run when they were done by those writers. And that's the run that gets made into the MCU. I don't own any of those original Guardians of the Galaxy stories, but I do own the Danny Abnett and Andy Lanning run, because it was such a well-written series. So that's just sort of a general rule of people that are kind of not at the savant level, but the getting into the hobby level. Stick to what you like.
And see, that's the thing, though. To me, if you're going to get into this hobby, you have to be a reader first. It only makes sense. You can't get into this hobby just looking at pictures. If you're just looking at art and saying, "Well, I want to collect art," man, probably do a little bit better.
The best speculators are people that actually read the comics. I stand on that square.
Yeah, no doubt. And thing is, some people get to a point where they're done reading. They read a good story every now and then. It's great. It's gravy. It's not the focus. I'm a story guy first, which is why I only collect and read certain things. Like of late, I'll just share with you guys what I've been reading of late. I shared on the blog that I was reading, I reread Justice League's Dwayne McDuffie run. I just finished reading that. I'm right now reading Shadowland, Daredevil crossover book. It's like 31 books. But it's like there's like 4 or 5 one-shots. There's the regular Shadowland book, which is like 5 issues. Moon Knight has 3 issues in the book. Power Man has 4 issues in the book, and the rest of it is Daredevil. I think there's one shot. There's one Thunderbolts. It's a few things, but it's a big story, basically. But I've been going back reading old stuff because some of the new stuff, as far as writing is concerned, is not that good. And while I do go to the comic shop and get books off a pull list, I'm not relying on that as a collector anymore because the books are just not that good. Unfortunately, shout out to Amir again, because he hurt my feelings with this news when he told me that Chip Zdarsky is going to be writing Batman.
How does that hurt your feelings?
Hurts my feelings because I thought I was going to save at least $5 more a week or a month. Like I said, petty. Now I have to go back and put this. I got to go back to my LCS after I told him I was done with Batman and be like, put me back on Batman.
All right. So, unbeknownst to you guys, you mentioned, Richard, the levels of collectordom. Your initial people, your high readers, your seasoned people, and your savants. We have a special guest. We have a savant that is going to join us, savant level collector, Mr. Philip Thompson.
What? Big
What's
Phil
good,
in the
people?
house.
We in the building. Long time
Man.
coming. I'm excited. I went
How
and
you
changed
doing,
my shirt.
King?
Man, I went and changed my shirt and everything. Man, I was getting ready to go to bed. Let's get it.
What's going on, King? How you doing, man?
Oh man, got tired of being in the comment section, man. I feel like I need to get in here and offer some wisdom.
Big Phil in the
Oh,
building. You were
wait.
supposed to do a live with
Thank you.
Herschel a week or two ago. I know some things came up, but we're happy to have you here tonight. Thank you for sharing your wisdom and knowledge.
Man, I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be here. You know, I try to catch this every time I see it pop up. I try to catch it and I leave my little 2 cents. But it's good conversation. Like I just like listening.
Right.
H&H says, "What's up, Philip?"
Well, let me ask you, Philip, since we got you here, my brother.
Yes, sir.
You are one of we consider one of our highly respected collectors in this space. The comic shop you go to in Pittsburgh, you know, I'm gonna be honest with you. I have a glass of haterade every time you do a video, and you in that basement or whatever it is.
Let me make sure my chain is tucked in because Phil's in the building, man.
You get a lot of good stuff out of that shop, man.
So the one thing about Western Pennsylvania is that we have a plethora of comic spaces. So like when I sit back and I see people always talk about, man, I wish I had this, or how'd you find this out in the wild? I'm sitting there like, I could walk in the shop, my one spot, I could walk in and walk out and see 4 or 5 copies of like Star Wars #1, just like in the bin. You know what I'm saying? I got a guy that comes from Germany every other year, and I take him to this one spot that we go to, and it's 5 floors. It looks like it's an abandoned building. When you walk in, it's just one little floor, and then you ask and you go upstairs, and it's just a whole floor with there's camera equipment, then there's comics. No prices. You go up on another level, there's records, magazines, old black magazines, it's bananas. Then there's you got looked and there's boxes of comics. I mean, I found at least 3 or 4 X-Men 94s in there.
Wow.
Lobo #2, full runs of Iron Fist. I could go on and like
let me ask you.
I found. Let me tell you this. One thing I will say this. I found a coverless Captain America #1 Golden Age.
Wow.
And I helped broker a deal between one of those big IG collectors and the person to make bread off of that. Unreal.
Wow. That's what's up. I tell you what, man, one of the books that I love that you have in your collection, it really inspired me to go after these books, was The Little Kids featuring Calvin.
I knew you was gonna say
and
that.
I know you got several copies of that book. And I've never been able to land that book here in Texas. But recently I was able to acquire the 3 issues. And I would just tell you, man, that when I saw you, I think we were doing a family video, and you was on there and you had them. I was like, man, I gotta get them books. I don't know how I'm gonna get them books. I look on, they don't show up on eBay a lot. You know what I'm saying? I happen to find them, catch them in the wild, all of them at one shot. And so I want to thank you formally for that, because you know what I'm saying, I had no desire to go after that book. Didn't know about that book.
So make sure you put context to this. Put context to this. Philip, can you explain the significance of the Calvin part?
So Little Calvin is one of the most important Black comics ever. Actually, it was Little Kids. It's Little Kids. I think it's called Little Kids. It was like a kid comic. At one point, Marvel was doing Millie the Model, Little Kids, all the little goofy stuff, trying to compete like with Casper and stuff like that, and Archie. So about issue number 10, I can't believe I'm gonna have the issues wrong. It doesn't matter because I got multiples of them, so it doesn't matter what the issues are since I got them. But Marvel did little Dick Calvin, and he's a black kid in school. They did the 3 issues, and it is, if I'm correct, it is either the second black character with his name in the title. I believe it's the second. I
What
believe
year
it's
are we
the second.
talking about? What year are we talking about?
And it's a kid's book, and it is. Oh,
Oh, Phil froze for a second.
Oops.
Froze up. Give him a second. Give him a second.
we back.
Yeah, you back. You back.
All right.
I was
so,
asking you
but
what year did Little Calvin come out?
early 70s. But the most important part about Little Calvin is that it was done by a guy that I believe was in his a black guy that was in his early teens who had just happened to be working at Marvel. And he did the 3 issues, and then he pretty much disappeared off the face of the earth. There's no articles about him. You can't find out any information about him. But you know, back then it wasn't hard to disappear. You know, if you didn't want to be found, you didn't want to be found.
Yeah, Rico says he's the second Marvel comic book to have a black title character, and it came out in 1973.
Right, he's the second. Actually, and I think when Rico, we were posting something, I think we said something else is the second book, and I was like, no, it's Cal.
The first issue is probably going to be Luke Cage, I believe, right? All right, Philip's back, I think.
Is that my internet doing that?
Yeah, that's your internet, bro.
Ooh, Lord have mercy. We're gonna have a talk with Xfinity about this.
I'll upgrade you to the fiber optics.
Man, they tripping over here. But Calvin's one of my books that I just love, and I feel that if Marvel decides to do something with Calvin, like even in the MCU, you can have Calvin playing in the background like it's a little cartoon that the kids are watching or something like that. It will go crazy.
Yeah.
But you can't be a black collector.
Yeah. Let me ask you, Phil.
Own Calvin.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead. Right.
What you about to ask? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know. I hunted that book for a while, man, and it was a task, but I was so happy to get them all at once. So let me ask you, Phil. What got you into comics, bro? I mean, you know what I'm saying? Who was your guy? And what really got you into comics?
My dad and my stepfather. My father was a big comic collector. I've never seen him read a comic book in his life, but my dad had boxes of comics. And on the weekends, when me and my brothers would go over there, we would sneak in his comic box. You know, we might get a whooping if we tore him up or if he caught us going in there, but it was worth it. You know what I mean? That's what actually made me fall in love with Black Panther. So I'm gonna go back to that. Let's side note. My stepfather, I guess when he wanted to impress my mom, we went to East Orange, New Jersey to go visit his mother. And he went downstairs in the basement and came up with 3 comic books for me. It was a Spider-Man with 4 and like a Marvel double feature with a Captain America book. Those 3 books, I always buy them every time I see them because they're part of my childhood. He had mint comics, super mint. This is early 70s. And I'm talking about like even like the adult stuff, like the Harry Crumbs and stuff like that. Those books were in there as well. So he told me, he said, well, just don't tear these up. I said, cool. The next day he came up with like 3 boxes of books. The only problem with that was I was too young to appreciate it. So when I went back home, I remember going to school with like 50 comics in my jacket. I remember it was raining. And I got off the bus and they like all fell on the ground. I was like 8, 9, 10. But I'm talking about he just had everything. It was crazy. But my dad had his Black Panther collection was nice. His Spider-Man collection was nice. So what happened was around the early 2000s, late 90s, I started running to a bunch of Fantastic 452s. So what I would do is I would buy them and I would give like to my dad because I would say, yo, this was his first appearance. And he kept a couple or he did whatever with them. And just recently, to go full circle, my dad split his collection up and sent them to me and my brothers. and he sent me all his books and all his Black Panther books, and he sent me one of the 52s that I sent him like 10 years ago. You know, he gave it back to me. So that
Okay.
was my introduction was through
Wow.
my dad. But I also don't
Okay.
smoke
Okay.
weed because of my dad. Because my dad used to take this is real shit. My dad would like, I remember we would go get our little comic books, and he would like separate the seeds and
Uh-huh.
the stems on the books. And then he'd be like, I don't want to see
Wow.
y'all doing this. I'd be like, man, not on my not on my secret
Not
wars,
on the
Dad. What
comic
are we
book,
doing? So
wow. That's what's up. So Phil, who's your guy? Who's your guy? Who's your favorite character?
We lose him again.
Froze again.
man, I don't know
Oh,
what's
he's there.
going on here.
Uh-oh.
But anyway,
Okay.
so that's that.
Your
Who's your
favorite
favorite
character?
character?
Oop. Oh, he's gone.
Hopefully he'll link back
He
in.
should be coming back.
Yeah.
Oh man, that was fun. I mean, I hope he comes back. But yeah, that's all right. But you know, it's guys like that though, that are instrumental. You know, when they show their books. Shout out to Rico. Rico has a Instagram page, Black Key Comics, that is amazing, and the stuff that he puts on that Instagram page, you know, is incredible. You know, I remember when I first saw he had an Ebony Jr. book that blew my mind, and only from the standpoint that I remember Ebony Jr.'s when I was a kid. You know, that's going back to my childhood. I showed you guys these ebonies or whatever. He was talking about magazines, and I just showed just one of them or whatever. But this particular ebony was September 1967. This is actually the birth and the month of the year, I should say, of my birth. This is the book, that Ebony magazine, because that's a staple in our community.
Right.
And you know, I really am amazed at the journalism. And we don't have that today, man. That's the sad part. Magazines, the internet has been great, but when we got the internet, we lost magazines. There was there's nothing like thumbing through a magazine. There's nothing like thumbing through. My mom used to get Essence all the time. And, you know, we would get Essence, we would get Ebony, of course, Jet, you know what I'm saying? We get these different, you know, magazines, and you know, we put them on our coffee table, and they kind of just like sit, or they throw them away after a while. And you know, we enjoy them and consume them, whatever. But when we lost that, man, you know what I'm saying? It seemed like as the internet grew bigger and bigger, the books got thinner and thinner, and now they just almost, you know, I think Essence is still around, but Ebony, I think, has been sold like 2 or 3 times. So, but yeah. Somebody tell Phil that he is back. You know, he's in the back looking at something. I don't know what he's looking at.
Phil, you're back in the building,
Phil,
man. We can see you.
You're back, brother.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Phil, I will offer you $5 on that right now. I got 5 on it.
Wait a minute. Hold that back up again, bro. The second book you put up. What was that?
This is a German Tomb of Dracula 10.
Okay.
I got $5 for it. I'll give it to you right now.
You're not going to insult this my show, Paul. Try to hit $5. Tomb of Dracula. Man. Let me ask you, Phil, have you always collected international books?
Maybe for like the past 10 years, but I didn't really go. I really didn't go. Like I said, I got a guy in Germany who introduced me to the Mexican Spider-Man books,
Yeah.
So you know, I don't know. A lot of people may not know. Like in Mexico, Gwen Stacy never died. So
Mm.
they did totally different stories. They're non-canon, but and the art is so dope. But it's Gwen Stacy's still alive, and so it's totally different.
Wow.
I just got my first Mexican book a couple weeks ago. I got Miles Morales #6
Nice,
with the introduction of Starling. That's my first
nice.
Mexican comic book. I didn't have the original.
And shout out to
Oh man, the Lobos.
you got the Lobo.
Mhm.
I been should have had that. I been
About
should
my
have.
first.
Yeah.
Let me tell you a story about Lobo though, real quick. I've been looking for Lobo #1 for years, right? So I was looking for it before it became the internet sensation, before it became a big book. And there was a time you could buy Lobo for $50 or
Right.
$400. Nobody knew what the value was. And there's a local shop, Family Attic, and I kept asking different shops if they have it. Nobody had it or whatever. And so the guy was like, I was with my son, and so we were in there. And he said, "Hey, I got a whole stack of Dell books over here. If you want to just go through like the Dell shelf." Pulled it out. I pull out Lobo #1.
Wow.
You know what price he had on it? $3.
How much, bro?
Mm.
What?
Mm.
Yeah, Phil. Look, bro. I need you to. Is he frozen again? Damn, his internet connection is just ass. There
You
he
know
is,
what? I'm getting off here, man. I'm switching internet providers. All I'm saying is, I bought Lobo #1 for $3.
bro.
Wow.
I need you. Look,
That's
you got
amazing.
the mega stores out there. I need you to help me find a Lobo #1. And of course, when I make that request, he's already frozen. God damn it!
Funny, man. Stop it. Oh man, but yo,
Did you hear my
I
request,
do
man? Did you hear my
think
request?
that
Help me find a Lobo.
Which one you need?
I'll take both of them if you can
Okay.
find them. But I definitely need #1. I gotta have
Okay.
#1.
I'll
I
tell
could
you
have bought it 2 years ago for $50, and I was like, no, I'll get to it when I get to it.
the next one I get, I'll send out to you.
I appreciate that, bro.
Not a problem. Especially with my internet acting up. That's the least I could do.
Rico gave you props and
that's
said $3. Wow, that deal was so good it froze his computer.
I literally,
bro.
when I found it for $3, I pulled it out and I punched my son in the chest. Don't ask me why. That was my first reaction. And he was like, "Are you serious?" I said, "My fault, man. I was just too hyped. I didn't release that aggression." And I took it up, and next thing you know, I just started finding them. Like I found this in the spot in the antique joint I go to, just sitting there.
Mhm.
So, you know,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm
You know,
gonna be
he
quiet
said
because my
something just
internet's
now,
going so.
guys. Yeah, he just said something, guys, that I think is key. You know, we talk about going to shops, comic book shops to find books, but if you can find vintage shops in your city or whatever, a lot of these places have old comics. I found a lot of Dale, you know, old Harvey, TV Harvey type books, Sad Sack, stuff like that. You know, you can find vintage stuff, man, in vintage shops. So, you know, there's alternate places to go. You know, man, with the Calvins. Yes, sir.
What's that?
Yes,
That's issue
sir.
number 10,
Yes,
right?
sir.
Number 10.
Yeah.
Oh man. So Phil, one other question I got for you. What is your advice for guys that are trying to take their collections to the next level? What advice would you give to any of us who, you know, like a Paul who's looking for that Lobo or whatever, or for a guy that may want to organize their collection and make it make sense? Does that make any sense? Because sometimes we just buying books to just buy books. And so you know, there has to be a method to the madness. So do you have any insight that you can offer to us, you know, in that regard, bro?
Define whether or not you're buying comics because you like comics, or or buying them because you want to make bread. You know, I'm 50, so I grew up when you just went to the grocery store and grabbed comics off the shelf. Everybody read comics. It wasn't like nerd culture. Like when you were talking about the magazine piece, that's important. Like things were just out.
Yeah.
You know, you just went. It was just part of what it was. It wasn't even a nerd
Yeah.
thing or a black nerd thing. Everybody. I mean, you know, you might get robbed for your comics. You know, at the lunch table back in the day. So, and here we go. I'm tired.
Did he freeze again? Oh wow. You know what?
Damn.
I think
I thought
Facebook
Xfinity is
though.
supposed to be good internet. Oh, you're back, bro. You
The
back. You back.
Streamline, man, something else though, bro. Streamline something else. That's all I can say.
Buy what you love.
I have
That's the key.
Right.
buy what
You
you
gotta
love.
buy what you love, man. You gotta buy what you love.
So you just shared with us a great deal that you got on that logo. What else did you get that you just couldn't believe that you got it at the price?
You know, and then I also believe in building relationships. So the one shop that I go to, I've been going since I was a kid. I'm 50 now. So
Right.
they know me from, you know, just we make jokes about how I used to come in and tear the books up. So when you got to create relationships with your LCS, because at the end of the day, they're in it to make money too. So
Right.
you have to understand that as well. But when you make genuine relationships, not the person who come, you don't want to be the black collector that they just get the black books too. You want to be the collector that happens to collect black books and everything else. You got to create the relationship. Relationships are key. It's like with anything. You know, you go to the grocery store, you got to have the right relationship. You get hooked up. You go to the bank. You know, when I go to my bank, the teller knows me. As soon as he knows my name, he makes sure I'm good. If you, hey, don't worry about, I got you. You know, it's all about relationships. Once you create that relationship, you will find that those books come in too. Books come and go. I give books away. You know, if I sell somebody a book, I'll put extra books in there. Books come and go. I've been blessed to have a big collection. I lost an entire collection in the fire. I've
That's right.
lost a collection in the flood. And when I lost my collection in the fire, I had some of the heavy hitters, like I don't know if y'all know, like John Garner and some of these other cats and some of these other collectors. They blessed me with books. I mean, these dudes sent me keys. You know, they sent me keys. Like they didn't even tell me. Like some of the dudes that run some of the raffles, they got together. I got a box in the mail, and it was nothing but it was books. There wasn't no $500 books in there, but they was $30, $40, $50 books. Like there was books in there, you know.
Yeah.
And then one of the top pressers, you know, he said, "Hey man, just send me a stack of books that you think we could save. And I'm just gonna press them for you for free." And this is a dude who presses like all the big books for the big companies, man. I'm not going, you know, he just donated that to me. So it's all about relationships. So I give away books because they'll come back to you, in my opinion.
There you go. That's what's up. So you want to get that kind of content, brother. Appreciate that advice, man, because you're right with relationships. Even in this space, you know, I think is incredible. I tell people I don't know nothing. I know Phil, I know Jay, I know Rico. You know what I'm saying? But I don't really know nothing. You know what I'm saying? I try to surround myself with guys that do know. And you know, I get love just for being in the space. And you know, I'm just grateful more than anything that we have cats like yourself, bro. You know, to look to. You know what I'm saying? Because it's kind of like I remember when I came back into the hobby, and I didn't know what to do. I didn't know where to go. I didn't know what to gravitate to. So being a story guy, or whatever, I went to what I knew, which was the Batman, which was the you know, Wolverine, stuff like that. And it wasn't until I started like really wanting to build my black side of my collection that, you know what I'm saying, it made a difference. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, okay, going to a shop and then just constantly saying, you know what, I want my collection to look like me. I never, when I was a kid, went into a store with that mindset. One, because there weren't a lot of our books. But when I got back in the hobby and I constantly say I'm trying to collect nothing but black stuff, whatever, it seemed like it just appeared, even though it was always there. You know what I'm saying? And so now, talking to cats like yourself, Rico, even Herschel with his crazy behind, I'm able to know, I'm able to just, you know what I'm saying, okay, I had no reason to go after any Nick Fury whatsoever. But when Herschel told me about this being like the first black supervillain in a comic, I was like, okay, that makes sense to go get that book.
Right.
So, you know, sharing the information, man. But the relationship part of it, that component, that's beautiful, man. I definitely believe in that. You know what I'm saying? So thank you for that gem, bro. Um, what do you as far as your collecting goes, Phil? What's your or have you gotten your grail? What is your goal? Do you have a goal right now, or have you kind of achieved everything you wanted to do in this space?
Um, I think I have most. So I'm an overall collector. I just happen
Right.
to have all the Black Keys. Black Panther's my favorite hero just because I just it connects me to my dad, if that makes any sense. You know,
Yes.
Right.
but I am also a kid who grew up on every kid loves Spider Man. We could sit back and we could pretend all day, but there's I'm tired of this internet breaking up.
You good right now, bro?
Keep
Mhm.
going.
Mhm.
You good? You back?
He must can tell
I
when it's
think.
about to break down.
Mhm.
Oh, you're back. You're back, man.
Lord have mercy. We're gonna pray on this. So but my grail would probably be books that you wouldn't think. Like All Negro Comics is one of my grails.
Oh wow.
I almost had one and I blew it. I don't want to talk about it. So and also Journey in the Mystery, that first appearance of Thor. Um I'll never forget when we were little kids, we all had our little Mego dolls. Remember like the Spider-Mans, the Thors, the Hulks, and whatever. And my brother
Right, right,
Kenny
right.
had Thor. And I remember being on the playground, he would not let us play with Thor. We wanted to play with Thor so bad. 'Cause Thor, the helmet came off, the hammer, he had the bracelets came off, the boots. Like it was just such a. And I remember him standing on top of the slime board, holding Thor up like this, and we never could touch him. Kenny was old enough, and he would beat our ass if we played with him. So he that was and that was it's moments like that that make you like certain characters.
Right, right. No doubt, no doubt, man. Um, you know, man, you talk about all Negro comics. Uh, I'm just glad I know a guy that got the book because
Mhm.
I probably would never get the book. You know what I'm
Oh
saying? I mean, it would
Jesus,
be just
Jesus.
blind luck and opportunity that I would even come across to even be able to buy that book. You know, there was I guess about a year ago, whatever. That book went for like I think the highest on the census. I don't know if it was 8.0 or whatever, but it only went for like 21,000. Um, which is kind of sad when you think about the significance of that book, the history of that book, how they sabotaged that run or those guys that were creating that book. Um,
Mhm.
I just could not believe that they would go so low as not even necessarily not to sell it, but not even sell him the paper to create the next comic book.
Right.
That's just how foul they were, man. And that's some of the
Oh, you
stories
better
behind
believe
these
it.
books is just amazing. Do you have any favorite story? Huh?
You better believe it. Um, that's what they did. It was shady. I mean, look at Lobo. Lobo only did 2 issues because
Right.
people, the some
Yeah.
of the stores were they didn't want to do it. They didn't like that the black guy was in the name was in the title. So that's why he only did 2 issues. But my other grill was Negro Romance. I've never held a copy in my hand. So
I've
that's
never even
another grill.
seen that
Mm,
book before in real life.
You know. And then of course,
yeah.
I blew it. I had an X-Men #1 I could have bought for like $1,000 3 years ago. Sick about it. And I mean, I do like the classics. Like I would love to have a Fantastic Four #1. As a collector, there's just certain items that I just feel like I
Hmm.
would just love to have. I already have my Fantastic 452s,
Right.
my Black Panther #1s, my Luke Cages, my Lobos, my Cow. Like I have those already. And I'll be honest, I don't necessarily read comics now as much as I should, and I know that goes against everything, and I apologize, but I still buy. But I'll read a lot of new.
Yeah.
I'll buy a lot of new books. I'm it. It just don't. It doesn't grab me like a lot of the older titles, and I try to get into them,
Right.
and I'm just like, and then it's funny because some of the ones that I do get into, I'm like, oh, I didn't think I would get into that, but I feel like some of the newer Black books try too hard, and then they don't try enough. I feel like tell a good story first. Let's tell a good story first. Let's tell a good story first. Let's have some good
Right.
artwork. Some of these covers are trash. Man, let me tell you something. Some of these variant covers are trash. Garbage. We're like, man, this is so nice. I just be like, man, this is terrible, man. It's terrible. And I I don't like pandering in comics now. Now y'all got me on the roll now. The camera's cut off. It because the Lord don't want me to say it. But
go ahead, man. We've been talking about this issue.
I don't like that. So here's my thing. I believe representation matters. I've been Black all my life. I went to HBCU. I did all. My parents went to HBCU. So I'm not one of them people who like all of a sudden when they become 20, they discover they Black and
yeah.
I only want a Black dentist and I only want a Black mail carrier. Man, go ahead with that. Let me tell you something, man. I've been Black. I lived around Black folks. My heroes were Black folks. My parents were my heroes. I didn't have to, I come from my mother and my dad didn't stay together. I didn't go out and knock people over the head and all of a sudden. And man, hell out here with that.
Yeah.
Let me stop, man. Y'all got me hyped. But all I'm saying is I don't like pandering in books. I don't like gender swapping. I don't like race switching in the movies. I don't like none of that. We don't have to make. I don't mind the Black Supermans. I don't mind, the Black Miles. My reason for this is because if Spider-Man was in the real world, if kids saw Spider-Man, Black or white, that's who they would want to be. Period, point blank. Right. If I could have Spider-like powers, man, I want to be Spider-Man too. I don't want to be Black Tarantula. I want to be Spider-Man. The hell, let's just keep it funky, But what I don't like is that I didn't like DC Other Side of the Game. I didn't like that book. Oh, here we go.
Oh no.
Wow. Like I said, we trying to bring y'all some fire. They messing with us.
You have to expound on that. Please expound.
Phil's bringing too much fire. Okay. He's overheating the internet.
Wow. Man.
There we go. You're back, man.
Okay.
I'm done, man. It's the white man. It's the white man trying to censor me, man. He saw me read my Hugh P.
See, I didn't even want to say that, but that's exactly what I was thinking.
But all I'm saying is, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I was just saying you were telling us about the other history of the DC universe.
I didn't like that one. The one DC book. I just wasn't I didn't like the what was it? The Other Side of the Story or whatever it's called. Not that I didn't like it. The other history. I just wasn't. I mean, it felt like pandering to me. This is my opinion, and it may not have been. It felt like I just don't like that. I don't like that all of a sudden all the Black characters got to have issues with the white characters, and Superman, you weren't here in the hood when the old lady was getting mugged. Fam, I was out there saving Jupiter and Mars. I'm gonna let you handle that or somebody else. Like what are we doing here? Like to me, it's just I feel like we try to. I understand they're trying to get Black readers. Let's be honest here. But the comic industry has to understand that comics are not going to sell like how they did 30 years ago. Kids are not picking up comic books. There are not a whole lot of new readers. There are not a whole lot of new readers. Even with the MCU, people love the MCU. It's almost totally separate. They'll go to it for a little bit. Like you said, people don't even read magazines anymore. So you can go to the internet for this. You can go to this. So I know I'm going in a whole bunch of different directions, but I just, y'all know where I'm coming at with
No,
it.
no, no.
It's
You
just,
good, bro. You good.
it's just for me. I don't like when, like for instance, Black Panther is my favorite character, but I don't like the new Black Panther. I don't like the vibranium suit Black Panther. I don't like that Black Panther can arm wrestle Galactus and win. I don't like that.
Listen, let me tell you something, Phil. Now, you are on the live with a Black Panther apologist. Paul,
Apologist. I don't apologize. I don't apologize for my Black Panther.
So let me say this because I got cut off. I'm gonna go back to this. Black Panther is my favorite
go
character.
ahead.
I don't like vibranium suit Black Panther. I don't like vibranium suit Black Panther. I don't like the fact that Black Panther could arm wrestle Galactus and win all of a sudden. I don't like that. That's corny. It's ridiculous. I don't care how people feel about it. Y'all call me whatever you want. When you're a coon, whatever. My woman fine. My book collection is good. My kids is good. I can care less about that. I don't like the new. I don't like. I don't feel it. I don't like it. It's too much. Because here's my thing. When I used to read Jungle Action, and
one of the most underrated Black Panther runs of all time,
the greatest run ever.
Yeah,
it was actually the first long run in comics history, if I'm correct. It was the first time that there was just this long told out story. What made that book so good was that Black Panther didn't always. It was a more moral story, but even sometimes he didn't always win that fight, but he always found out a way to win. It wasn't always this like it. He was going through things. Things was rough. He came out. It's like with Cap. Cap is strong. Cap is whatever, but Cap has a limit to what he can do. Strength wise, he figures out a way to win, and that's the parallel. I look at him and Black Panther in the same light a little bit. Like they're almost like the same character morally. They are literally the same type of character morally. But with Black Panther, it's like, oh, okay, so we need this. Okay, you know what? It's like the whole vibranium issue, like with him being the richest man in the world. So I just need to know, does he own the vibranium, or is the vibranium a mineral that's there or whatever? Like we come up.
Boss does not appreciate these comments.
You gonna put that on Bass, bro. You can't do that. You can't do that. I mean, look, I think that to your point, we look at heroes, whatever, because I do believe that the tech that they give Black Panther, I ain't gonna say it overdoes it or is over exaggerated, so to speak. I will say
it's too much.
That the whole premise of a superhero is being able to, be able to use your mind, use your wits. You know what I'm saying? Use what you have, to win the day, because you're trying to inspire, the readers or whatever. Because guess what? A little kid might feel like, well, if I had vibranium, then I could do this. But since I don't have vibranium, I can't do it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And
Black Panther's
that makes
greatest
a lot of sense.
power is his brain.
Right.
Yeah. But it often gets shadowed by the tech that they show.
True, and there's nothing wrong with the tech. My thing, he doesn't have to be Iron Man.
Right.
Black Panther don't need to be Iron Man. We already have Iron Man. I mean, but I get it. I know there's people who love them, and I know people love the new story. I think the new stories are good. Let me get this right. The new stories are good, but I prefer Jungle Action, Black Panther. That's when you read those stories, I just feel like you're getting what Black Panther is about. Even his cameos in them old Fantastic Fours, where him and Reed are talking about things and they're working things out, and there's a magic to those stories. There's a magic to those books that the new books do not have. It's like, for instance, you said it best. It's like the difference between reading a magazine and reading information off the internet. There's a difference. And I think these new books don't have that. They don't, a lot of them don't. I do like that Nita Hayes, is it Nita Hawkins, whatever it is. I like that book. There's a couple books that I do like. So I'm not going to say all books, but I'm just saying as a whole. And these books only take 2 seconds to read. Like, back in the day, you sat down with a book. You sat down with a book.
You were there for a minute. Yeah, unfortunately,
they gave you more content for your money than they do today.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what they're doing.
Read the letters,
they're doing.
You read the letters page.
Do they even have that anymore? I don't think
pages,
they do.
They don't run long enough for them to print the letters that they get.
Right.
Unfortunately.
That's another issue. I'm glad you brought that up too. Let's talk about all these books always starting back over at number 1.
Yeah, my boy Mark complains about that all the time. It's like if you're a long-time collector, and you have these long runs from back in the day, and Marvel now's here's the thing. The mainstream comics, particularly Marvel, they're all about money more so than story and keeping their customers happy. So they realize that the real money makers are trades. So that's why you see all these story arcs are 5 to 6 issues.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So they do runs where, like, you know what? We need 3 volumes. Right? We're going to make each volume 4 or 5 issues. Right? And so they do these arcs where here's a story arc, it's 4 or 5 issues. Bam. As soon as you hit issue 5 or 6, by issue 7, there's a trade paperback for issues 1 through 5 or issues 1 through 6. That's what they're doing now. And they need to renumber it because they can't have issue 456 through 460. They have to restart it because people will think they're behind. It's overwhelming. You're not going to have a trade paperback that collects issues 456 to 460 because people are like, oh, I'm so far behind. I'm overwhelmed. I don't even want to do the involvement in doing that. The commitment.
That's an excellent point. I like that. They should put the legacy numbers on every book.
I mean, you don't really
include the legacy numbers for the long-time collectors. Include the legacy numbers.
Yeah, I need the legacy numbers. So,
I mean, you have that though. You have that continuity with certain books. I mean, you get Detective Comics is one that's ongoing. Action Comics is another. Spawn,
right?
It's like up to 325, 326 right now. It's not a popular thing. The money is in the trades. Why they do what they do. I think though, the to your point, Phil, that if you're a collector, there's something special about being able to go to your long box and be able to like read or number 300 books. You know what I'm saying? If you can go to like your long box of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but if you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, you know, and then you have to know the volumes of certain things. Even on an app like CLZ where you can document your stuff or whatever. If you don't know the volume, you can't even put your books in if it doesn't scan to a barcode. You have to know which volume of Black Panther that you're looking at, you know, versus and the legacy numbers are important, which is why let's talk about this. We're gonna wrap this up. We just had the 200 issue of Black Panther, right? First appearance of Tulsa, new character. 200 issue. Okay, the biggest Black character in comics today. Can we agree?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How is it that book is not thicker? How is it that book is not has more? I would say why does it only have 3 stories in it? It should be at least a $10 book. It should have at least 5 or 6 stories. You can go through Marvel's history and see all the books that have 200 issues. They're big deals.
Right.
But all you have on there is a legacy number. And then a lot of people were
Particularly-
upset that they didn't get in on it because it was a first appearance.
Particularly that it's the longest black run character in Marvel's history. They should have made a bigger deal.
Well, there's that too. Yeah, there's that too. You know, I don't know, guys. I don't know. That's all I can say.
I mean, they released a book
man.
during Black History Month, right? It's Black History Month. You released a 200th book during Black History Month. Your longest running black character, the one whose MCU appearance is one of the is $1 billion movie for you. Multi-billion dollar movie. And you come up to his 200th issue. It's a historical issue in terms of having the longest run of any black history, of any black character in Marvel's history. And that's the book, that's the issue you got. I love watching the white YouTubers lose their minds when they see the 1 in 25 go up to $600 and they're scratching their head like, what the hell's going on? Why didn't I buy this issue?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it is what it is, and I'm be honest with you, I'm kind of happy and sad about that because it's a shame that it takes that kind of thing for certain books to get notoriety. But anyway, fellas, look.
What's amazing is that not one of them mentioned the fact that it's the 200th issue. Like, they're all like, oh, yeah, introduction of Tosin, so there must be MCU spec on it. How about just the fact that it's the 200th issue? How about the historical significance of the fact that it's the 200th issue of a black character in Marvel Comics? It's never happened before. That gets overshadowed with the MCU spec.
Nobody cares, and it is what it is. But you know, we have to be the ones that shout on the mountaintops. You know, it is what it is. But listen, we are over 2 hours in, so it's time to wrap this up. And with that being said, y'all, want to thank everybody for joining us on tonight. My man Phil's coming right back in. Phil, we're getting ready to wrap this up. I want to personally thank you for hanging out with us tonight, man. Appreciate your insight, your thoughts. You are welcome, surprise, and please, whenever you want to weigh in again, man, you're more than welcome to come back and hang out with us. Okay?
Let me, if I could drop something real quick. If I drop something real quick, 5 seconds. I just want to say, man, you know, I really appreciate the black comic collector community. I need for us to understand that there's probably whatever the small number is of us, it's us. We set the trends. We're the ones that kind of, just being honest, we need to realize the power that we have in this community. But I also want to send a shout out to my man to Rico. And I want to send a shout out to Brother Flood, you know, Mr. Bodybuilder himself. Because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have got, I was 100% against new books. 100% against new book. I wouldn't touch a new book to save my life. And I was buying a little here and a little there. And we had a conversation one day. I said, all right, let me, you know. And here we are. So I do got to give them those props because I was totally against new books, you know. I was the get off my lawn, old school OG guy. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
I got a request for you, Phil, because I know you do music, right? Like
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And you know, Herschel was talking to us about this too. He was supposed to ask you this.
I got him. I'm about to hook him up with something.
You gonna come? Did he talk to you about it?
Yeah.
The 15-second beat.
I got him.
Can y'all please keep that behind the scenes? We don't want all our business.
I'm not going into details. I said 15-second beat. He knows what I'm talking about. 15-second beat. You got it?
Let's talk about that behind the scenes. We don't want to talk about Black Comic Lord business in front of company.
Company, man. We got fam. Our fam is listening to us right now. If you ain't fam, you ain't watching us right now. Ain't no but fam watching us. Come on, man.
But what if Phil just said, no, I ain't, what if Phil just said, no, I ain't doing it? Then where are we?
Hey, look, this summer I'm hitting the road, man. I'm trying to link up with as many people as possible. So I want to do this documentary on the Black collectors.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna be, you know, I'm trying to link up in different cities, man. I want to film this piece because it's important that we We document our, we always talk about document our own stories, whatever you want to call it. I just, this is what I want to do. And I want, and it's important, man. It's important, and,
You make your way down to the Magic's Kingdom, holla at us. Me
I
and
got
Herschel.
you. I got you. It's just about scheduling.
That's what's up. You already know what it is.
Let's work it out.
I'm in Philly.
When you get down,
Oh, you in Philly?
when you get down to Texas,
Hey, y'all killed the Knicks today. I don't know.
Oh man. Well, but when you get down to DFW, I'm pretty sure you'll holler at Steven and myself, whatever. So definitely looking forward to that, my brother. But again, guys, we got to get out of here, man. We almost 2 hours and 30 minutes in. So, but anyway, Phil, want to thank you again for coming on, bro. Could you give out your social media where we can follow you at and all that good stuff? You just told us about the documentary that you're working on and anything else you got going on.
My IG's on DJ Big Phil. My Twitch station's coming up, DJ Big Phil. The website DJ Big Phil. I got a book coming out on graffiti, all photography that I've done. I got a lot of things getting ready to come out, man. It's just I've helped a lot of people get to where they at, so it's time for me to do for myself. So it is what it is. So.
Now, my man Rico said we did a long speech on the importance of sharing. Now he wants to be all secret. That's not true. Hashtag Richie Pell. That's not true, Rico.
Rico call you out, son.
I'm gonna get in Rico after this is over, so I ain't even tripping. But that's what's up. But anyway, again,
everybody watching, please hit the like button right there. Just hit the button.
Please like, subscribe,
and shout to Rico. Shout to Rico. I think people sleep on how just dope Rico is, just as a person, not even just a collector. Rico's a good dude, man, and
Rico's that dude, man. I mean,
he's a good brother, man.
I can't think of anybody else who I have more respect for in this community than Rico.
Oh yeah, he definitely is the big homie. I got a lot of love for Rico. So
not just common knowledge, but willing to share it.
I don't think there's any. I think in the family, man, I don't think there's any loose links, man. I think everybody's dope, man. Like and I have a lot of sidebar conversations with people, and I think it's like a genuine friendship, at this particular point with everybody, man. And I think like we look out for each other, we hook each other up, and iron sharpens iron, man, and we kind of motivate each other to do our things. But I will say, between all of us, there's some big things we can all do if we sit back and pull some things together, So that's just I'm just trying to plant that seed real quick, man. We got some heavy hitters in our squad, and I think we just need to all work together. And I believe in working together and making this money. So there's some things we can all do, but that's for another time. That could be a whole nother thing, and it's just real. So nobody in the squad needs to be hurt.
And we know, Phil, that we can come together and do something big, don't we?
For sure.
we know we can do it.
We've done it.
Well, I mean, we're not talking about that, but yeah,
don't get me started.
Quiet as kept. We know what we can do.
We've seen. I will say this in the collective, we have seen what brothers get together can do, what's possible.
Yeah.
And here's for me, it's always been about seeing the big picture and being able to, like you say, move this thing to where we're just doing YouTube to where we're actually doing a festival, where we're actually doing cons, where we actually getting people to talk about the history and the stories and everything that connects us to who we are, man. Because like you, bro, I feel like we might be a small niche, but it's a powerful niche. You know what I'm saying? It's powerful in that what we represent is Black history, Black excellence, Black pain, Black humor, Black love in a hobby. We experienced it. I said earlier that, we are people that can't hide. We can't hide who we are. We can't, when you see us in person, we can't hide who we are. When we see us in a comic book, you can't hide. You automatically see that melanin pop off the page when you see it. So, let's be who we are. because Lord knows they can't stop us.
Hmm.
The only people that can stop us is ourselves. You know what I'm saying? But if we come together, like you say, bro, and we could really do some things, bro, because I honestly feel like it's in our hands to make it happen.
Right.
We put our egos aside, we put our agendas aside, and a documentary, bro. Look, it's what 2022. By 2024, bro, we need to be somewhere celebrating at a premiere, seeing that in a real legitimate theater or whatever, you know, making it.
Listen,
Mm.
I got the August Wilson Center on lock in Pittsburgh. I got theaters on lock. I got art galleries on lock. I mean, I have plans for this joint, man, and it's just not, you know, it's just I feel like this is big. This is big. This is big. We can be our own, you know, the black collect. And the thing is, I'll say this piece. I'm debating on whether I want to do a documentary piece or I want to do episodes where I may do. Here, let me let the cat out the bag. Because if it comes out and somebody else did it, I know one of y'all is a snitch, and you know it's a problem. So I want to do something where, let's say, I pull up to whatever city and I go digging with whomever.
Right.
And we're looking for certain stuff. Or I say, hey, you know, I heard such and such got such and such book. I want, you know, I need to go get it. So I'll go up there and then we look at his collection. But then we do stuff where we show what he do in his leisure time, whatever. So it's a collection that connects us, but that it's the human story that's interesting.
I dig that. I dig
Black
that.
men
You can
that
do
are
like
fathers. Like I'm a single parent. I raised 4 kids by myself. You know what I mean? That's my story. But I don't, you know, I don't sit there and make these posts, you know, single dad, F Mother's Day. Like that's sucker shit. I don't do that. You know what I mean? But it's just, it's the stories behind it. And that's what's the driving force. And this is an award winner, baby. I mean, this could be a series or it could just be one big piece.
Well, I tell you what, Phil, whatever
15,
you need from Black Comic
episodes.
Lords and the crew, you just let us know. Just let us know what we can do to help. And, you know, definitely got our support for sure. Just,
big
you know,
facts.
whatever we can do to help make it happen, bro. So that's what's up. But yo, we got to get out of here, man. We are almost 2:30. So anyway, guys, look, it's your boy Rich. I'm here with Tameko. I'm here with Paul. We want to thank y'all. We want you to like, share, subscribe. If you're watching this on YouTube, please hit the like button. Please share, subscribe to the video. If you're watching this on Facebook, please leave us a comment. Let us know that you enjoyed the content. If you want to make suggestions or things that we could talk about or whatever, hit us in our email at blackcomiclords@gmail.com. And if you're looking for dope content, blogs, and things of that nature, go to our website, www.blackcomiclords.net. You can get merch, you can get info, you can learn about Black Keys, all the comics. And again, Big Phil, I want to thank you again, brother. God bless you and all that you do. We're going to get out of here. And from your boy Rich and the whole crew, we say peace. We love you, and there's nothing you can do about it. That's what's up. We out.
Be easy.